Hello, friends, and welcome to today's episode of Booked. I'm your host, Saffron Asteria, and I'm joined today by the Sledgend himself, Nick Horvath. How are you doing today?
Awesome, Saffron. Thanks for having me on. 6 a.m. here in New Zealand. Nothing
Amazing.
better than waking up, cracking some black coffee, and talking sledge. Let's go.
That is the correct way to drink coffee. I just like to affirm that for you. Thank you for getting up at the arse crack of dawn to talk to me on this show. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to diving into you as an author and you as the creator of this like epic universe that you have. So one of the first things that I've been asking people is, when you were like a little kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I've had three dreams in my life. I say them all the time. I wanted to be a professional basketball player, first a professional skateboarder, and then I got too tall. I wanted to be a teacher, and I wanted to be a writer. And I'm stoked because I'm all three now. I've accomplished all three life missions.
So now is it just like a bonus after that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the hardest one for me was definitely the writer. That was the one that in the back of my head I didn't think I'd ever be able to do for some reason. You know, I was an athlete. I was really tall. Everyone looked at me through that lens for so long that I was like, just had this sort of lack of self-belief that I could ever do it until I told that like voice in my brain to shut the fuck up and went and did it.
Sometimes you have to be very aggressive with yourself to be successful. I think that's one of the key things, is like recognizing that part of yourself that's like getting in the way, and then just being like, oh no, we're not doing that. For sure.
That was a life, like literally that exact thought was a life changing moment in my life. And it was first through basketball where I was exactly like you said. I had this voice in my head. I had this self-belief that I was naturally sort of timid. I wasn't a really aggressive athlete. And then I had that exact thought, like, maybe the only reason you're like that is because you keep telling yourself you're like that. You keep believing that. What if you just tell that part to shut the fuck up and just tell yourself you're the opposite? And just through that, like, literal self-talk decision to be like, nope, I'm not that. Within 1 year, I went from a certain type of player to like the most aggressive, just meat X psychotic sledge dude out on the court. I totally changed like how I played, my persona, how everyone perceived me, like everything. And it was like, whoa, that works. So
amazing.
I then applied that later to my writing. Like, no, you can do this. Just tell that little voice to just stomp it down every time you hear it.
Well, that's now very on brand for you. And it seems like that evolution has now just become this like sentient character. So you have had wanted to be a writer for a long time, and then you came out of the gate with this like really brutal, very easily marketable thing that is obviously very iconic already. Is this the first thing that you started to write, or did you have other iterations of other things?
No, I mean, I've obviously been writing my whole life, short stories here and there, trying to do novels. I could never finish anything, but I did always, throughout my whole life, I want to create. I've been working towards Sledge, and I had in my mind the book I was looking for. You know, I loved the Conan stories growing up. I loved Reacher when he came out, but there was no modern day badass. Like they're all cookie cutter to me. You know, you get your gray man. I don't know. I could go down all the characters. They're all basically like, oh, he was ex SAS, X whatever, and now he's a whatever. And they're all like the same guy, and all the books are kind of the same. And I didn't want that. I was looking for this thing, but I just couldn't find it. I was looking for this modern day Conan. And it took me a while to finally like put everything I want. And I didn't know how to write it at first. So the first book I wrote, which is unpublished, and eventually it'll probably come out as Sledge versus the Dead Girl. It's the origin story of a lot of the characters, Gao, Maldonado, Kira. But I wrote that whole novel and I have it. But the main character, the Sledge, wasn't really Sledge yet. He was much more me, because I just didn't know how to be anyone else as a writer. So like I learned how to write by just being like, well, what would you do in that situation? And so I put myself more into it. it was a little bit of a fictionalized version of myself, but it was a lot more me. And then, but by the time I got through that book, it took me, 2, 3 years to sort of just hammering away to finally just finish something.
Mm.
That's when Sledge was formed. I actually had one of my best mates, Rich, who read it and was like, there was a couple scenes he was like, no, but I want him to be like cranked up, like that scene
Mm.
where you talk about like has fighting technique, and like you gotta, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's what he is. That's what he is. He
Mm.
was in this pit, and he got forged just like Conan through a million fights to the death. And that's when I came across this. That's what made Sledge, right? Like he craves murder. So I had to find the core story behind him. How could that be created?
Mm. Well, you definitely go hell for leather with the fight scenes, and I read somewhere that you were a physics teacher. I don't know if you still are,
I
but
am.
okay, so you're a physics teacher, so that really is quite apparent when it comes to your choreography. And you also give like really detailed descriptions of like how things mechanically are working in this world. Do you think that's an advantage for you, because that's something that you don't always get with like action scenes?
For sure. I want everything in Sledge. This sounds crazy because he's so over the top and so
Hmm.
ridiculously over the top violent carnage.
Hmm.
Like you got to suspend disbelief. But every injury
Hmm.
and every action that happens in a Sledge novel, no matter how unbelievable, is a real event. So all the injuries, like him getting stabbed in the skull, for example, my
Hmm.
buddy Rich, who's my doctor friend, he's Code in the novels. That's a real injury. I have the X-ray, right?
Oh my
And so,
god.
yeah. So all of the physics, I want it to be real. That's
Mm.
obviously my brand, my trademark. And the most fun thing I do is so at my school, all my students are obsessed with Sledge because they're not allowed to read it. So of
That's
course they
awesome.
all go read it. And
Hmm.
so what I do when I'm teaching a physics topic, say I'm teaching, I don't know, I'm teaching impulse in a wave. That's for the
Hmm.
Wendigo. I literally work the problem in the book out on the whiteboard so that we actually
Nice.
know exactly what force the hammer would hit with, or
Hmm.
what would the period of the pendulum be as he swings it, or all this stuff. So all the physics in there is legitimately, and it's all been worked out. I thought
I
about
love
coming out
that.
with special editions that have all the physics in the back. And then I was like, dude, no one fucking cares about physics, dude.
I
They're
know.
not going to read a bunch of equations. But maybe one day I'll have a physics textbook Sledge edition.
That would be sick. So I mean, it sounds like it's integrated into like most of your life, um,
Yeah,
and it's
Sledge is a
taken over.
mindset.
Yeah.
Sledge is a fucking mindset, and so like when I write, I am Sledge for like
Mm.
2 hours a day, and so that's how I write. I get into my zone. If I'm at work and I have a free hour, I put on my headphones and I become him. If I'm at home, I go into my writing space. It's either in here or I have another room,
Mhm.
and I put on the stereo and I get my coffee and I focus and I lock in on becoming this character. I become him. I
Mm.
have to live inside him to write him.
Yeah.
And he becomes part of you. You become part of it. It's just like when I was a basketball player, I became this different human. So by becoming Sledge in the books, I actually, by putting myself in that mindset, I genuinely go through life now like thinking about, okay, I am Sledge. And the coolest story is it spreads to other people. This is probably my thing I'm most proud of as becoming a writer. My buddy Fraser lives down the street. He's got 2 boys, they're twins, and they're near the very top of their age group weight class in boxing in the country.
Oh
They're in high
wow.
school right now and they're really good.
Mhm.
And Leo, they're twins, but he fights in a slightly heavier weight category, so they never have
Mhm.
to fight each other. He was fighting for the New Zealand title in his weight group, and if he won this,
Mhm.
he was going to get to go away, represent the country in his weight class on this international tournament. Huge life changing moment for him, and he dominated the fight and got robbed in by a bad decision, and it was a political thing or some just total bullshit. And so this was like,
Mhm.
you know, devastating moment for this kid. Tears just like
Yeah, no kidding.
crushed his whole life, as he's just crushed. He's really thinking about quitting boxing forever. He's just so fed up with this. And his dad, my buddy Fraser, because all the boys have read Sledge, my dad,
Mhm.
Fraser said, I took him in the car. He was just distraught. And when he finally settled down a little bit, I just looked at him and I said, Leo, what would Sledge do?
That's amazing.
And he just looked at me and like eyes got hard, gave it the nod, and now he's back training and he's back. He's gonna go get
That's
that
so good.
motherfucker. It
I
was
love
like,
that.
dude, that's so awesome. Like just like even if that's all Sledge ever does, it inspires one kid to get
Mhm.
back up there and go kick some ass, you know, go take down those who have wronged him, you know, get revenge. It's just the coolest, most badass thing of all time. I'm so proud.
That's really cool. That is
Really cool.
super,
I
super
know.
cool.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something you need on a t-shirt. Like, what would Sledge do if you
What
haven't
would
already
Sledge
got
do?
that?
For sure, man, for sure. The gear store is slowly being forged.
Mhm.
The merch store.
Oh yeah, you've got a ton of stuff on there. Your website is sick, by the way. I don't know
Thank
if
you very
it's
much.
like, I don't know how much of it's like secretive, but I know that if you subscribe to your like newsletter or like the mailing list, you've been sending out like secret codes.
Yeah, man, you got to be part of the stronghold. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm super proud of the website because I do it all myself. My
It's
wife's a
sick.
designer, so she
Mhm.
can help. But yeah, I do. You know, I don't have someone that I hire to do all that. All that is all me,
Wow.
and I'm super proud of how it's turned out. It's pretty badass. But yeah,
Mhm.
I would encourage people to go explore sledgeversesbooks.com, the Sledgeverse. There's a lot of cool shit on there, and I am coming out with more of it. It's all live, but I'm
Mhm.
going to do big releases on all the stuff at probably post Wendigo release. I'm ramping that up. There's just so
Mhm.
much in the universe. I got to make sure it all gets its time in the spotlight.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you are trying to create this like really huge thing. And I suppose it'd be overwhelming if you were just like releasing it all at once. But you have Sledge versus the Wendigo coming out on October 31st, which is an excellent choice of date, by the way. So what can people expect from this book? Because I've started reading it and it's as brutal, if not a little bit more so actually, than the first one. But yeah, what can people expect from it?
Man, I'm so proud of it because I mean I say this all the time, but writing a novel, at least for me, is a epic quest where you have to really go through these trials and tribulations. And this one, I put my entire soul into it, and I'm really proud of how it turns out. And the thing I'm most proud of is the balls that it has. Like you can write a book about anything, right? Like the main theme of any book can, you know, you can write a book about literally any topic. But in my mind, the ballsiest topic ever is what Dostoevsky covered in Brothers Karamazov. Is there a God?
Mhm.
If there is a God, can we just, if there isn't a God, can we just do whatever the fuck we want, right? Can I just go eat tacos and kill people and it doesn't, because there's no overseeing judge of anything? Who gives a fuck? Go for it. Like, what is there eternal life? Is there a soul? Does, if the soul doesn't exist, what separates this dude that's murdering people from the people he's murdering, right? Like, that is
Mhm.
the weightiest question. What's the point of all this shit? What's the point of life? What is the meaning of life? It's the biggest question you can ask.
Mhm.
And not, I wasn't trying to go there when I wrote the book, but by putting Sledge through what he goes through in this book, it just ended up going there. And I really went there. I looked at the scientific reality of the
Mhm.
human soul through a lens of energy and momentum and Sledge. And I actually just fucking went there. And so just having the balls to do that, be like, you know what? Fuck you, Dostoevsky. I can do it too. Eat it. You know, let's go. I could talk about the meaning of life
That's
through
amazing.
Sledge, dropping the word cunt every 4 words. Get fucked. let's go. So I did it, and I'm so proud of how it turned out. Like, I've had multiple readers tell me that they were brought to tears. I'm like, is this Sledge we're talking about? Right? Yeah, it was just crazy. So I'm super stoked on that. I'm just super stoked on how it turned out. And I'm to the stage now where I loved it so much. I don't give a fuck, honestly, genuinely, if anyone else likes it. But when people do, when people go, man, like I just had Jeremy Engel, shout out to Jeremy. Definitely read his book, Dangerous Man, if you have not already. He's got a new horror novel out where the children don't play,
which is excellent.
But he just wrote me after finishing The Wendigo like a multiple page email, and he was one of these guys that just said, man, those chapters at the end where Sledge really fucking goes there, where it really goes there, he said it literally moved me. Like he just really gave me this heartfelt, like, wow, dude. And I just hearing that from a man and an author that I respect was just like, whoa, okay, not only did I go there, I think I fucking did it.
That's awesome. How affirming must that feel? Like, I know that you say that you don't care, but I think one of the fantastic things about being able to publish something and have other people read it is the point where they can connect with you via that story. And that makes it way more meaningful. Like, I think I don't know if you agree, but with like badass, brutal characters, one of the things that gives it like staying power is when it becomes slightly emotional, or it does something to how you feel in your heart, because then you really start connecting with that character, and it's not just like a surface, not that this ever was, but not just like a surface level, like bash and smash, like nothing's really going on. So I think having those elements of like touching moments, or things that make you really like question the character's motivations, or how deeply connected you are with this book, I think it's way more valuable.
For sure. Like the Labyrinth, I love that book, and you get a little bit of why Sledge is the way he is, but it's an 80s action extravaganza. Yeah. This one, there is much more depth there, and it's obviously much harder to, well, it just takes balls to even go there, because it's so hard to be like, well, who am I to talk about what the physical reality of the soul or whatever, but the going there just takes bravery. So anytime you do something that you're risking something, you're putting something out there. I mean, I have the utmost respect for literally every writer ever. If you have put something out into the public domain for the wolves and the keyboard warriors and the Karens to just pick apart and talk shit about, like, people who have never written shit, just talking shit like, oh, you could have done this different. What the fuck off, right? Like, you have the balls to get in the arena, right? So I have utmost respect for every person that's ever put any piece of their soul out there into the arena. But to do it with, a weighty issue where you're really putting something that you had to dig deep to find and really putting it out there for the people to feed on, and then having people actually be moved and read by it elevates the level of that. I really try my hardest not to write for others. You can't, because if you're writing for that reaction, then you become one of these Hollywood movies that's like, well, let's put this demographic and this demographic and this demographic and a flying dragon and a teddy bear in here, because those are what are big this year. And pretty soon the art is gone. So I just write what I love. And but I'm not going to lie, when other people love it and are moved by it, it's huge. It feels fucking great.
So do you primarily just write for yourself?
100%. You have to. I just write, okay, what do I want to read? What's the most badass shit I can think of? What do I want to read? And I literally have a list of tropes that I like. Oh, I love that. So when I'm forging the novel, I want to have that. I want to have an epic journey through a place. I want to have levels. So every Sledge book, I love video games. So it's got got levels of bad guys. I need an armor upgrade. I need a hot sidekick. I need all this stuff. So I just write what I want to read, and that's it.
Mhm.
That's the only thing. Do I love it? Good. That's it. Done.
So I also love video games. I'd like to know what your favorite video games are.
The video game, well, all time, Mike Tyson's Punch Out was the first game that I just loved
Really?
unconditionally. I still will play it. I love that game. Again, levels of dudes, right?
Mhm.
And you're upgrading, you're getting new belts. Each guy's got a different move set. But the games that before I became a writer, I retired from basketball.
Mhm.
And I really missed competition. I really missed something. And the thing that I sort of fed that competitiveness into was actually video games. But the games I got into were all the Dark Souls universe. So
Nice.
Bloodborne and then Dark Souls 1 through 3. I just absolutely loved those games because you could build your guy. I basically made Sledge in those games. And then would fight him in duels. That was all I got into. I'd win the game, but then I'd get into like the arenas where people would invade each other's games and just kill each other one-on-one. And I just got obsessed with doing that. So I literally fought Sledge in the pit for like a couple of years playing those games. And that's like what made the character like, oh, that's cool. I just got a giant guy with tanky armor and a huge slow weapon and like had my own fighting style. Yeah, it was fun.
I'm always a tank whenever I play video games. It's like have to be bash and smash. I can't heal because I'm not very good at paying attention to other people. I'm like, you're on your own. I'm fighting.
Let's go brawl. Big, slow, take the hit to land a bigger one. That's the whole mindset behind Sledge, the tank, for sure.
That must be why I enjoy it so much, because I very much I prefer a brute than anything else. And I think sometimes it's interesting to have more like tactical characters. But I do love like mindless violence in my media.
The thing about the tanks though is you do need to have strategy because it's always the midi guy that's quick and does some decent damage that is the easiest to play with because the damage per second is the highest. Whereas the big tanky dudes, they're always so slow that they're easy to avoid. So I used to you have to bait people in, like swing and miss on purpose. So then and then you get them on the backswing and all. So I put that mindset into Sledge. He's so damn slow that he's got to use cunning to get close. Right. And once he's close, it's already over.
Now I have to ask, you said that you work out the physics behind the fight scenes, but do you ever act out the fight scenes? And do you have a big hammer that you do that with?
Oh, I do. I mean, I have a hammer literally sitting in the corner of this room. I have a giant sledgehammer that I like to work out with. But I actually have some sledgy moment that happened this year in real life. It was so much fun.
Oh, really?
So when I go for a walk around my block with my wife, I have a Sledge hoodie, put on my hood, and I keep a child's baseball bat, which appears in the Wendigo. It's an aluminum baseball bat about this long, and it fits perfectly up my sleeve. So I just walk around with this thing. I have my Leatherman knife on my belt, just in case. This is like my neighborhood watch when I go around on the neighborhood, just in case something untoward is going on. This is my neighborhood, and I protect it. Well, maybe a month or two ago now, my stepdaughter and her friends came running into the house on their scooters, afraid. They're in middle school right now. They're 12, and they were genuinely afraid. And there was a gang of. They thought they were adults in the park. So down the street, there's a street light on the main road, and then there's this stretch of grass, and then a hill with a stairs going down toward a kind of creek. And so it's just a stretch of grass that goes back into darkness at night. And so you can't see in there. There was just all these shapes in there in the darkness, probably 15 of them, and calling out to them from the dark, "Come here, little girl." And then as they scootered past, one of them started chasing them up the street. So these girls were genuinely afraid of these dudes at the park. So I was like, okay. And this guy immediately ran out there, got on the scooter and scootered down there. And I got on my hoodie, got my baseball bat and just started stomping down there. It's about, maybe 300 meters down the road. As I get close, and Niska's skating back and forth, scootering back and forth under the streetlight and looking in there, and I hear them call out to her like, "Oh, come here, Scooter girl," or "I'm to my wife."
Ew.
So I was like, okay. So I got there and I looked into the park, and there was about 15 shapes in there, and so I just eyed the biggest one and just stomped straight up to him and looked. And he was a big kid, so he was probably like 17, but probably like 6'3", a big kid, and there was a gang of them, and I don't know what they were doing, just there to get drunk and being retarded. And I stopped right up to this dude and was like, "What the fuck are you doing here? You are scaring my kids." He was like, instantly, because I'm towered over him, like, step back, like, "Should we go?" I was like, "Get the fuck out of here. If I ever see you again, we're going to have a fucking problem." And all 15 of these kids just fucking bolted. And it was just like, that was what Sledge would do.
Yeah.
Fuck, that was awesome. I just walked straight up to these motherfuckers and scared them off. And to be honest, the best part about it was the way my kids looked at me afterward. Like, okay, Dad's got our fucking back. No one's going to fuck with us here. Let's go. It was awesome. So yeah, I do have a hammer, and I do have a baseball bat, and I'm not afraid to use it.
You've been warned, world. Do not mess. Do not mess with Nick or his family.
That's it. Don't mess with my clan.
So, in this latest book, Sledge Vs the Wendigo, there is some. Now, I'm not familiar with Native American culture. I should be more so, but I will learn as time goes on. There are some elements that I don't know if they're actually part of Native American culture, or how much of it's fictionalized. So did you do much fictionalization of it?
Yeah, so the Ojibwe culture is the Native American tribe of northern Minnesota, and a lot of the wording is all real. But obviously the culture of the Wendigo gang is all Sledgeverse, right? I'm not trying to appropriate any real culture.
Yeah.
They're their own predator culture, but the Wendigo itself is very much a real mythological being in Algonquin folklore, and I think it comes from starvation. So as the story goes, if the Wendigo inhabits you, it's a demon that possesses you. It gives you an insatiable craving for human flesh. And Wendigo psychosis is, like, if you read the inscription at the very beginning of the book, it is a documented malady in Western culture. Like, there are documented cases of people getting this insane lust for human flesh. I think it comes from obviously having to go through these unbelievable, horrific Minnesota winters, a few thousand years ago, when you run out of supplies and suddenly the kid next door is starting to look a little appetizing. If you give into that impulse, they would say the Wendigo got you. So there is a lot of reality interspersed in there, but I say right at the start of the novel, in the copyright, Sledge is a work of fiction. There is any resemblance to anything real is completely incidental. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the fucking ride.
I do love how wildly informal a lot of your formal stuff is. I like that it sort of weaves its way into stuff like the copyright page. So with your, I don't know if this is something I can talk about, so tell me to shut the fuck up if I can't. But you have the claw ranking. Are we allowed to talk about that a little bit?
You can, yeah. Oh, yeah. You can go onto the website and look at them all.
Well, that's what I thought. I figured it was like public information.
It's there. You just got to dig for it. I like everything in the Sledgeverse to be illicit. So it's like, it's not you got to go find it. But if you go deep and dig deep, it's all there. It's pretty cool.
So with this particular ranking, so these are, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how each person is classified within this group, according to like how they kill. Is that
yes? And they have different
right?
roles in the gang. So, and it's an actual predator chain, like a food chain of real predators that live in that actual area of northern Minnesota, southern Ontario. So you start out as a wolf spider. The wolf spiders are these gnarly, huge spiders that grow up there, and they don't make webs. They only hunt. And so those are the scouts, right? Those are the initiates to the gang. And then you become a shrew. The shrew are poisoners. Shrews are actually these nasty little mice that are so really poisonous. So they're the drug runners, right? So they're poisonous. And so each different. The beavers are obviously the engineers. That there's this huge smuggling pathway across the unguarded border between Minnesota and southern Ontario in the Sledgeverse, of course. This is a real place where it's 3 million acres of beautiful forest where you can go in there and canoe and camp and do all that stuff. But in the Sledgeverse, of course, it's controlled by the Wendigo, by this gang. So yeah, each level up has a different role. And so you know, if you're a bear, you're a freight hauler and a giant protector carrying these huge smuggling loads through. And the wolves are obviously like near the tippy top. They're SEAL Team 6, the ultimate wolf pack.
Awesome.
And of course, Sledge has got to fight every single one of these guys on his way up the predator chain.
Naturally, that's kind of the whole deal, isn't it?
That is the deal.
So you have Sledge versus the Labyrinth. You've got Sledge versus the Wendigo, which is coming out this year, and I see that you also have Sledge versus the Pit, which is, I guess, a work in progress at the moment.
Yeah, so that's my next project, and I'm already forging the levels. I'm not writing the prose yet. I'm in the ramping up Wendigo. Once I'd say Wendigo's out, it's time to get behind the keyboard and really do it. But it's up here, it's percolating. So yeah, this one's going to be the origin story. And I have so much of it. So a lot of the stuff that I developed backstory wise that goes into the Wendigo, stuff with his grandfather, and then stuff with the Pit is going to go into that. And I already have, I'm so excited about it, the levels of the Pit. So the levels of the Pit are going to be literal physical levels of the prison. So the fresh meat comes in through the literal sewer, the shit pit. And you got to kill your way to get out of there into like the boiler room pit and all the way, work your way up the levels of the pit. So I've got those forged and I'm refining them. And I got a lot of the backbone of the story. That's what really helps me write. So with the Labyrinth, I had the levels of the Labyrinth. Buddy of mine who works for the FBI now actually showed me some real dark web sites that had these sort of hit for hire scams, like real ones. I was like, whoa, that was the trigger for that whole novel. And once I had the levels, the next one's got to be he's got to try to blind somebody or whatever. That just really gave me the backbone of the story. So then with the Wendigo, it was the same. Okay, I'll get this predator chain, and then I can physically climb Sledge through that, and that just sort of keeps the momentum going for me and really helps me get to know what to go to next. So now I got the levels of the Pit, so I know where Sledge is going in this one. I just got to get him there.
That's sick.
I can't wait to write this one. This is the one I've been working up to.
Yeah. It sounds like visually that's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, it's going to be fucking awesome. I'm so stoked on it. I can, I write obviously very visual. I just had a post about how I write. Cormac McCarthy's inspired me so much. And, and you never see into the minds of his characters. I actually do a lot more into Sledge's mind than he does into the minds. He just shows you, but like he does it so well that you don't need it.
Yeah.
So I literally do write like, oh, this would be so badass as a movie. So I write it like the ultimate movie that I would want to watch. And I got it. and I make sure every chapter is 1,500 words or less, and every single one ends on a cliffhanger. So you just need to get one more. Oh, I can just get one more. There's only 4 pages, and it seems to work. People get hooked and they can't stop.
No, I mean that's such a great tactic. Because I was talking to JD Barker about his like thriller writing, and he writes really, really short chapters as well. And I much prefer it, especially if I'm like reading in bed as well. And I'm like, I know that I can finish a chapter before I go to sleep, because I hate finishing halfway through a chapter. And it is such a good way of keeping that momentum up for the readers as well, because you know that like something is going to be constantly happening all the time. I mean, I think I'm like 18 chapters through now. And you have so much action, but there are still those sort of slightly slower moments that you can catch your breath, but they don't last very long. It's pretty much like on to the next thing.
You need to be able to breathe, otherwise you're just suffocating.
Probably give people an aneurysm if you didn't give them a reprieve.
Yeah, the way I write, a chapter either is a goal, conflict, setback, right? So it's an action scene, or it's a reaction to the action, a decision, a dilemma, and then a decision about what to do next. So it's either an action or it's a reaction to the action, where you have that little bit of a breather. And I just continually, like every chapter, I make sure that they has those 3 elements. So it keeps tension going. So even if it's a reaction scene, there's still a dilemma. What do I do next? And then the end of it ends with the decision, which leads to the next goal in the next chapter. So, you know, when Sledge is sitting at the bar with Nimi, now it's like, oh, okay, the drop is happening in 2 hours. Now we need to go. Or the first chapter is actually a reaction scene. Kira comes and tells Sledge about this dude, and now the end of it is, his stream goes live in 8 hours. I love a ticking clock. So you got to find out if he gets to the dude in 8 hours, and away you go. And it's all on purpose.
The opening chapter is like very well done, and it kind of reminded me of like British like crime thrillers almost. And I love stuff like that. I love it when like bad guys get their comeuppance and like things just go completely pear-shaped very quickly.
The motivation for my opening chapters are the Spencer novels. So I don't know if you ever Robert B. Parker. So Robert B. Parker wrote this great private eye named Spencer. You never learn his first name. And so the show Spencer for Hire was based on an old 80s show in America. They made a Mark Wahlberg movie that was actually okay, but it should have been a series. But there's like 50 of these books. And I love them because Spencer's another static character. Sledge is a static character. Like he actually goes through some shit and some changes in the Wendigo. But like Conan, you know what you're going to get in the Sledge book, right? You know what you're going to get in a Spencer book. He's going to have the dame to kill for. He's going to have his buddy Hawk at his side, and he's going to solve a mystery. And invariably, at the beginning of every Spencer book, Spencer's in his office, and a new client comes in with a new mystery, and away they go. So the Sledge books, at the moment, they're both, well, Kira's got a problem. Something's going down. She comes. She makes the 5-mile hike to go see Sledge and tells him what's up, and he goes, "Okay, let's go get this one done." And so same thing happens in the Wendigo. I just like that. It's like you're returning to old friends, and it's a way to Sledge lives off grid. So Kira comes and she gives him sort of the rundown. This is what's going on in the world right now. And you see it all through Sledge's lens. Like, what the fuck? Okay.
I love the like lipstick she does. It was so funny. I was reading it and I was like, I can't imagine like hearing all of those things for the first time and not knowing what they are and being like, what has happened to humanity? Actually, it's quite terrible.
That's the line from Sledge. You wonder why I avoid society. Yeah, fun.
So I have to ask you, with your like, you've already said that you sort of tell the story with the mindset of it being like played out in a film, and I know that you love video games. So where do you see this going? Like, do you want it to become this like big thing? I mean, it feels like it's going to be.
Well, there are two sides to this. So one, the movie wheels are actually already in motion a little bit. So, but this is still, when I say in motion, a long shot. But right now, today, the script is being written. I've signed a shop agreement with Weird Tales, which is a really cool thing, because Sledges I look at as a modern day Conan, and Weird Tales, the magazine, the imprint, is the first publication that's ever published a Conan story. So the fact that they've, it's really cool. So the fact that they're on the front cover of the Wendigo, calling Sledge the modern day Conan, and the president of Weird Tales, John Harlacker, is contacting me about, oh, dude, have you ever thought about doing this into a movie? Would you be down? And I was like, fuck yeah. So I've signed a shop agreement with Weird Tales, and we shopped it around for about a year. And Litz Entertainment Group, which is Adam Kolbrenner, they've made The Gorge. You see that movie, The Gorge, with the monsters in the...
I haven't seen it, but I know of it.
Yeah, that was... And Prisoners, a movie I love. Anyway, he made a lot of really cool shit. The one with... where he's in the video game. I can't even bloody remember it. Anyway, a lot of cool movies that are actually made by Lit Entertainment Group. Adam Kolbrenner, he's making real stuff all the time. They picked Sledge up. I had multiple FaceTimes with real movie makers, and we got a script writer. So now the Labyrinth is being written. I'm collaborating on it a bit, but being written as a script. And once we have a script, we're going to get it in front of directors, get it in front of lead actors, put together a package, and then you sell that package to the studios. And if the studios think it's badass, they say, here's X million dollars and go make the movie. That last step is obviously still a huge long shot.
Yeah, no kidding.
But wheels are in motion. But to answer your question, so I have to remind myself of this every day. It's a bit of a story, so buckle up.
Okay.
But when you write, there is this voice in my head that I don't know if I'd call it an anxiety, a worry, or just a cunt. But he says, well, what if this is as big as Sledge as it ever gets? What if Sledge just stays how he is, underground? The thing I'm most proud of is, like, there's not a ton of Sledgens out there, but the dudes and women who have found Sledge tend to fucking love him, tend to be like, dude, this is what I've been looking for my whole life. And like listen to audiobook 5 times in a row. But there's not, 10 million of those people out there. There's, maybe 10,000. So what if that's it? What if this is just as big as he gets? He stays underground. What if, and that thought comes in, and then I have to tell myself this story, and this is the story. So ever since I've been a kid, I've been into the hardest core thing of any particular category. For example, when I got into sports, the sport I naturally gravitated to wasn't basketball. It was, what's the most hardcore sport? And when I was a kid growing up, 9, 10 years old, it was for sure skateboarding. There was no MMA and no anything yet. Skateboarding was badass because it was underground. You didn't your mom didn't sign you up for skateboard lessons. You just went out and did it. And even more badass, you were throwing yourself down concrete stairs with no padding. That was badass. But it was also mostly badass because it was illegal. You were literally breaking the law just to do it. We used to go skate up at the Wells Fargo, which was a bank. They had a beautiful little 3-stair and a marble ledge, but you had to go at night when the bank was closed. And invariably the cops or the security guards were coming. So part of the sport, which made it hardcore, was literally running from the police. It was awesome. So getting into, when I got into movies, it was like, okay, what's the most hardcore movie? Can I go get Evil Dead or whatever? So I got into skateboarding, and I was like 9, 10 years old, but I was already like 6 foot tall. And all my skateboarding buddies were like 3, 4 years older. They're in high school, and I'm still like elementary school. So the hardcore kids that were into skateboarding got me into hardcore shit. They opened my eyes to a lot of badass shit. And all of those kids were into hardcore stuff. So they got me into hardcore music, right? Like, oh, okay, there's this band out there called Slayer, Morbid Angel, Deicide. I was like, dude, a dude literally burned an upside down cross into his forehead and they're openly satanic. Like, yes, like I got into this stuff. But there was this one band, man, and they were just so fucking hardcore, so badass. And the reason they was because they were so actively, gleefully not popular. This was at the time, every girl in my middle school had a New Kids on the Block t-shirt or a Madonna t-shirt or a Michael Jackson t-shirt. This was the time of MTV Top 10. Every song was 3.5 minutes long. Popular, popular, popular. Everything was popular. These guys, every one of their songs was 6.5, 8 minutes long. Super epic. Their first album literally had a sledgehammer covered in blood, and it was black, red, and white on it, right? I was like, whoa. And the most badass thing about these guys was you had to be in the club. Not everyone knew about them. They were way too hardcore for radio. You were never going to hear them see them on MTV. They didn't have any videos, right? This was like denim vest time when you had the patches. If you saw someone with their patch on their thing, it was like you were in the brotherhood. You were in the underground. They were the hardest of core, right? And then 1991 came along. I'll never forget it. They came out with their 5th album, and it was going to be the most badass thing of all time. The cover was just black. And I ran to the store to buy the CD, and I get to school the next day, and fucking every one of the fucking girls that had a New Kids on the Block t-shirt last year now has a Metallica t-shirt. And every fucking one of their songs is now 3.5 fucking minutes long, and it's got a music video. And what had been mine, right? The ultimate badass band that you had to be in the fucking underground, man. You had to earn your stripes just to find them, right? It was gone. They were popular now, and they have sucked ever since then. Every one of their albums since the Black Album has been fucking garbage because they sold out. So long story short, to answer your question, if this is just like, how do I visualize him? If this is all he ever becomes, he stays underground. He stays like, damn, have you read that fucking thing? That is hardcore, man. You got to be in the club just to get to that. Good, because that's how I want him, right? I want him to stay hardcore and underground and Sledgendary. I will never, sell it to Disney so they can
bastardize
it, make it weak. But if the movie comes out and I sell 10 million copies, I'm not going to say no, but I'm definitely never going to.
That's amazing. I think it's really hard for people to measure levels of success that are willing to accept. Because when I ask writers, I usually ask, what does success look like to you? And I feel like you've kind of covered that already. But when I ask people that, I get such a varied response. It's either like, if just one person reads it, then that's great. But on the other side of it, they'll go, but if I get a movie deal, that's also good. So I think part of this whole finding success in the writing world thing is, if you're happy in this exact moment with what you're doing, then that is the only success that people really need, is to be satisfied with what they've created so far and to continue to be satisfied with that thing. And it sounds like you are.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I literally have in my phone every day a reminder that says the grind is the goal. And that's exactly it. If you, the thing I missed the most about being a professional athlete wasn't the victories, wasn't the big high after, because that was, they were, you know, winning the championship, because that was so far in between each one. If that was all you played for, that was the only place you find joy, was the publishing of the book or the selling of the 10,000 copies. You literally might never get there. So you had to find, what is it that I can find the joy in the daily grind? So I remember just waking up every morning and being like, okay, today I get to go work out. I get to go to practice and get a little bit better, battle with my boys, with my teammates. And that became the goal. That became the thing that I enjoy. And I've gotten to that place with my writing. Like, I'm really just genuinely love what I do. I also have this voice in my head. Well, don't you want to do it full time? Wouldn't it be the best if you did it full time? Well, I also have an answer for that. Like, when I was a professional athlete and playing professional sport was my only source of income, it was actually less fun and less of a joy than when later in my career I was sort of teacher by day, but still played for New Zealand and still played in the professional league here locally. So I kind of did both. And because I had two things on my plate, I didn't put everything I had into the pressure wasn't there. Like, shit, if I go play a bad game tonight, I can't feed my kids. That was gone. So I honestly think if I get to the stage where sledge is all I do, I think I might start to hate it. That's actually what happened when I was a professional athlete. It got to the point where it's like, fuck, I just don't want to do this anymore. It's just, it became a job. So I actively don't want it to be that. I want it to be what I do for passion, what I do for joy. And even if it goes enormous, I think there'll be, you know, I need to keep other things into my life. So exactly like you said, like, this is what I want. And I do constantly have to remind myself of that. Because again, there's that cunty voice. Well, you could always sell more copies, or what, you know, are you not successful if you're not on the New York Times bestseller list or whatever the fuck? And I tell that voice to go fuck itself.
Amen to that. I can totally relate, because I love to cook, and I was like, I'm going to be a chef then. Wouldn't recommend it. Horrible. You'll hate cooking, and then you don't cook for yourself.
You hate it.
Yeah, I did that for years, and I was like, I can't do this anymore, because I started to resent the thing. Because if I didn't, as you say, like, if I didn't turn up for work, I wasn't getting paid. And yeah, it's just, it's definitely worth having that thing as something that you love. And I envy people that can do stuff like writing full time and be totally satisfied and still happy and enjoy that thing. And I'm sure it's probably more rare than we think it is for people that do.
Yeah, I'm really wary of it. And I'm lucky because my job gives me time to write, and I have like 4 months off a year because of school holidays and all things. So I'm happy, you know, and it gives me time. I still have time with my kids, time with my family, time to write. I have enough time to do my coaching. So I have time to do all those things throughout my day without feeling like, you know, I don't have any time to get it all done. And I did have a time where I injured my back. So I was off work for two whole terms, a half a year.
Wow.
So I had nothing but sledge time. And to be honest, it was not good. Partly it was because my body wasn't right. And when your body's not right, your mind's not right.
Yeah.
But having nothing but the thing to focus on honestly strangles the thing. So I just constantly remind myself of that. No, this is actually, I am living the dream. This is what I want.
That's awesome. So before I let you leave, I have one last question, if that's okay.
No worries.
So if you could go back to when you first started building the Sledge universe and give yourself any advice, what advice would you give?
I look at that question the same way I look at my basketball career. It's like, if I could go back and know everything I knew, I think I would just have a reminder during those down times that you just got to keep going. But I think in those moments, I already knew that. So there were times writing the Wendigo, you can ask my wife, where I I was just didn't think I was going to be able to do it.
Mm.
You know, like I just don't know if I can do it again. You know, and like just so now that I know that I have, you just got to pick that thing up and put yourself in the position to do it and just keep grinding. But to be honest, I never had a moment where I thought I was going to quit. I just know this is what I want to do. And I think I learned that before I started writing. I think I learned that earlier where, you know what, no matter how dark it gets, you just got to pick up that hammer and just swing it again and never stop. And then eventually you get to the point and now, bam, look at this thing. I'm here. It's created.
That's sick.
And I'm just so fucking proud. This one goes there, man. This one fucking goes there.
I can't wait to finish it. I especially after reading the reviews, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have emotions about this, because I don't often like things that make me like sad or cry, but I felt like this is a good vessel for something like that, where it's not like insipid and like whiny the whole time. It's like badass, and then like, okay, I'm allowed to have a little cry if that's what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Sledge as like a litmus test. So this one, if you can handle the first chapter, like all the themes, which are like, I literally can't even say the words online right now because we might, you know, like I can't say the stuff that's in this one. It's as dark as it gets. So if you can get through, if you go, okay, I'm down for that. Okay, let's buckle up, and then you actually go on this ride with Sledge where it literally plumbs to the darkest depths of the soul. You know, I don't know if it takes you there, and so you're gonna go there. I can't wait to hear what you think. It's gonna take you there, and we'll see what happens, man. But it's if you come out on the other side, you will be forever changed.
I imagine I'm probably going to send you an email that says, "How fucking dare you?" That's what I'm expecting.
I can't wait. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. I'm so proud of it.
You should be. I just want to thank you so much for being on the show today and for making the time to speak to me. This has been so much fun, and it's been really nice to get to know you, especially like with Sledge being so much like you as a person. I feel like I understand the character a lot more. So I'm hoping that whoever watches this is intrigued by your work if they haven't already read it, and go find it. There's a link in the description below. So I've made it very easy for you if you're watching this. You can go find the books. Where can people find you and your work? Not your home address, just like online.
Yeah, if you want to delve into the Sledgeverse, sledgeversesbooks.com has got my entire universe in one URL. And then you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook under Sledge Versus Books.
Sweet. Check that out for branding. But thank you again. I'm really, really glad that we did this, and I'm going to stop the recording now.
Thank you so much for having me on. This was a ton of fun, Saffron.
This was a lot of fun for me too.